neck robots, robot cheaters, deep-sea robot archaeologists, the first brain-computer interface implementation without opening the skull, an incredible fruit picker, new robot training systems, and other high-tech news in today's one episode. Dead spiders can turn into robot invaders. The technology has been dubbed neck robotics. Researchers used the fact that spiders move their legs essentially by hydraulic pressure, using their own blood as fluid. Based on this, the scientists decided to see if they could manually induce such movements in dead spiders. They inserted a needle into the head chamber, secured its position with glue, and made sure that when a small amount of air is pumped in, the spider's legs straighten, and when it is pulled back out, they bend. Additionally, in the experiment, the deceased spider was able to lift weights of more than 130% of its own body weight. The researchers even calculated that one spider carcass can withstand about 1,000 opening-closing cycles before its tissues begin to degrade. It's hoped that adding a polymer coating might increase this lifespan. What do you think of the idea of neck robotics? Let us know down below. Incredibly, a fruit-picking system using drones with manipulators has reached the commercial pilot stage. The Tavel Aerobotics technology startup's first customers were an organization that supports school gardens across California, HMC Farms. According to the developers, the patented flying autonomous robot platform combines advanced algorithms, artificial intelligence, and data analysis. Machine vision is responsible for detecting objects and classifying them, and the machine can not only distinguish apples from leaves, but also accurately recognize the degree of ripeness of the fruit. But the most amazing thing is exactly how the apple harvesting takes place. This is probably the most original robotic solution for agriculture we've seen. The University of California, Los Angeles Romella Robotics and Mechanisms Laboratory has unveiled its new development, the humanoid robotic platform ARTEMIS. It demonstrates the lab's direction for the next 10 years. The university's graduate and undergraduate robotics research education center specializes in new strategies for mobile robot movement. Previously, Romella conquered the internet with its four-legged platform Alfred 2, a personal assistant able to move in different ways and keep balance even on 3 or 2 legs to perform useful actions with the remaining limbs. Englishman James Howells, who threw away a hard drive with a cryptocurrency wallet containing $181 million worth of Bitcoin back in 2009, wants to involve robots and artificial intelligence in the search operation. Honeywell's unveiled his search plan, which is worth $1 million on its own. It includes human sorters, Spot Boston Dynamics robot dogs, and artificial intelligence machines trained to look for hard drives on a conveyor belt. And the Boston Dynamics robots will not only search for the drive during the day, but also guard the landfill from other treasure hunters at night. Howells plans to dig through about 1 million tons of landfill in 3 years this way. But to embark on an impossible mission like this, you need permission from the authorities, and they don't believe in the idea and fear an environmental disaster. Engineers from Carnegie Mellon University have presented a learning system for robots where machines learn to do useful things simply by watching humans do it. The technology called WHIRL, or Wild Human Imitating Robot Learning, a system of imitating robot learning in a natural environment, demonstrated on a home robot Stretch developed by the startup Hello Robot. The problem with training home robots is the endless variation in both the homes themselves and the tasks the robot should perform in the future. A new way to help the owner of the robots train it on the spot by showing it how to open a particular washing machine, cabinet, refrigerator, or how to close a pot or fold a shirt, and so on. The robot records all motion data, remembers where it is, and analyzes the information to then repeat the action itself. In the experiment, Stretch wasn't immediately successful, but over time, it figured out how to act. Deep Robotics has announced the official release of the Yuying X20 rescue robot. The company says the robot is capable of autonomously navigating stairs, rubble after earthquakes and collapses, exploring the interiors of buildings and structures, and working in toxic exposure, as well as hypoxia and high smoke density environments. It is true that the height of the obstacles should not exceed 20 centimeters, and the angle or inclination should not exceed 35 degrees. Industrial-grade IP66 protection should enable the robot to work in extreme weather conditions, including heavy rains, sand and dust storms, low temperatures, and hail. A maximum payload of 85 kilograms can include both oxygen tanks. Integrated application modules include a long-range communication system, dual-spectrum PTZ cameras, gas detection equipment, omnidirectional cameras, and sensors. The robot can be controlled remotely by receiving images from the camera. Baidu has cut production in half of its electric robotaxis for lower fares. The company's new Apollo RT6 model builds in production for about $37,000, which is 48% lower than the Apollo Moon introduced last year. Production will be concentrated at the company's own facilities without outsourcing. Level 5 drones with removable steering wheels should hit China's roads in 2023. But that's if everything goes according to plan and not getting blocked by authorities or charging tolls for the robot cars themselves. Now the company's autonomous cabs are operating in 10 cities in China, with plans to cover 65 cities by 2025 and 100 cities by 2030. The developers from Max Planck Institute in Stuttgart presented a system for teaching robots to walk in the shortest possible time. Thus, in the video, the robot learned to walk in just 1 hour, which is currently a record not only for robots, but for example, for foals, which stand on their feet very quickly after birth. The robot learned to walk by consistently analyzing information from sensors, running correction cycles, and adapting the motion control model. The learning algorithm, meanwhile, adapted the control parameters of the central pattern generator. In humans and animals, these generators are networks of neurons in the spinal cord that produce periodic muscle contractions without brain involvement. Researchers at the Genoa Institute of Technology taught a robot to trick people into thinking it had consciousness. The engineers conducted a series of tests with the iCub robot. The robot watched videos with people and in one case greeting them, maintaining eye contact and responding to the clips like a human. And in the other hand, with the cameras in its eyes turned off and a simple set of beeps. As a result, the participants of the experiment believed that the robot itself chooses its own behavior and can react to what's happening, like a human if it wants to. The scientists have also concluded that people were more willing to interact with the robot that acted like humans. Have you ever thought when you met a robot that it has consciousness? Let us know down below. An underwater robot dived to a depth of 1,000 meters to inspect a sunken ship. To ensure buoyancy and resistance to water pressure, engineers from Stanford University coated the hull of the Ocean One robot with special foam of glass microspheres. In addition, the robot's arms are filled with oil and a spring mechanism that compresses it in response to external pressure, preventing collapse and cushioning electronics. The new deep-sea version of the bot is called Ocean 1K. The robot has a humanoid upper body and non-anthropomorphic lower body with 8 multi-directional motors responsible for the precise and careful maneuvering. The robot's tactile feedback system is a stereoscopic vision that creates an incredibly realistic experience for the operator controlling the machine. Researchers literally felt the sunken ship crispy with their mechanical hands, even feeling the resistance of the water. Startup EarthGrid showed a robot that digs tunnels 100 times faster and 98% cheaper than current drilling equipment. The robot is designed to drill tunnels for utilities, energy and internet networks without contact. The work is carried out using a plasma torch with a temperature of 27,000 degrees Celsius mounted on the robot in a Fibonacci spiral, starting from the center and expanding until they cover the entire diameter of the hole. Engineers assure that in high-speed configurations, the device can tunnel up to 1 kilometer a day at a cost of about $300 per meter. The startup Synchron became the first developer of implantable brain-computer interfaces in the US to perform surgery on a human being. The device was implanted into the brain of a patient suffering from amyotrophic lateral sclerosis. The surgery did not require opening the skull. The device was inserted through the jugular vein, and the man, who long ago lost the ability to move or speak, will now be able to operate a web browser and communicate via email using the power of his mind. He became the 5th person in the world with an implanted neurochip. China will make its super heavy Changcheng 9 carrier rocket reusable, creating its own equivalent of Starship. It will deliver Chinese astronauts to the ISS and other objects beyond Earth. The single-use version of the Changcheng 9 should be ready by the end of this decade, and the first prototype of the reusable system by 2035. The rocket will consist of 3 stages and 4 lateral boosters. The first stage and boosters will use fuel from a mixture of kerosene and liquid oxygen. In total, the rocket will be able to launch 150 tons of payload into low Earth orbit, 65 tons into geosynchronous transition orbit, or 50 tons into translunar orbit. Ford showed off tests of a trial version of its robotic charging system for electric cars, which is supposed to serve the convenience of disabled drivers. The charging station can be controlled from a smartphone without leaving the car, and once activated, the station lid opens and the charging arm extends to the inlet using a tiny camera. The driver, meanwhile, can monitor the charge status through the Ford Pass app, which also allows a number of connected services, including vehicle status, fuel levels, and range checks, as well as remote door locking and unlocking. After charging, the arm goes back into its place. Near-Earth startup Autonomy showed the operation of its autonomous flight system on a K-MAX Titan helicopter. The company's system consists of sensors that perceive the world in a 3D environment and provide mapping, imaging, localization, and geo-registration. Data from the cameras is analyzed by an algorithm responsible for identifying and classifying potential hazards, from wires and tall trees. Algorithms also work out detailed flight paths and hover taxiing operations. Although humanoid robots can be controlled with high-level commands and classic joysticks, they can effectively use their humanoid morphology in unexpected scenarios to directly reproduce human postures and gestures recorded by the motion tracking system. This method, combined with human operator intelligence, allows them to freely perform tasks as full-fledged avatars. However, it's not easy to control humanoids in such a way that they also keep their balance while performing the task. Researcher Jean-Baptiste Moret solved this problem with a motion capture suit and quadratic programming. The Place drone conducted its first fully autonomous mission at sea, performing multispectral surveys and measuring biological parameters of the water column. The video of the mission was posted on its channel Prisma Lab of the University of Naples Frederico II. The RoboCup 2022 Robot Soccer Tournament was held in Bangkok, and if you think that robot soccer players are somehow underdeveloped, then you are simply misjudging the level of difficulty in robot soccer. During the game, the bots have to communicate with each other, understand the referee, and deal with elements of constantly changing environments. It's up to the robots to decide who will attack or who will defend or who's going to score penalties. The most dynamic but also most interesting league in the RoboCup is, of course, human adult size, and this year's winner is the team Nimbro from Germany, which managed to improve its version of their robots. Their angle of vision has widened and they can see all objects, including lines on the field, better from a distance, and when we think that the robot's just stomping on the ball, it's actually calculating the most successful combination of force and trajectory to get the ball into the goal without errors. By the way, the third place went to Romella Lab Team from the United States, whose humanoid platform we've told you about just at the beginning of this episode. At the end of the event, the robots fought the RoboCup trustees, and it certainly looked like a baby beating. Still, we're a long way from taking over the world by robots. Subscribe to the channel, like this video, and don't miss any new episodes from the world of high tech.